My husband of 20 years is cheating on me with our son's 18-year-old girlfriend.
Whoa.
I, 41 female, am a stay-at-home mom. My husband, 48 male, whom we'll call Paul, works in finance. We have been married for nearly 20 years. We have 2 kids, whom we'll call Eric, our 18-year-old son, currently a senior in high school, and Mary, our 15-year-old daughter. They're both the lights of our life. My marriage with my husband has grown somewhat stale over the years for a myriad of reasons, such as his work schedule and how I've aged poorly since we first met. Our son Eric has a girlfriend, 18 female, who he's been dating since they were freshmen in high school. We'll call her Amy. Eric absolutely adores Amy. She's his first love, and she's someone I've considered as family. This makes the whole situation emotionally excruciating for me. Last week, I inadvertently saw my husband's phone screen and got a glimpse of a text thread between my husband and Amy, our son's girlfriend, and I read what looked like a message of her telling him that she misses sucking his cock.
Oh.
I froze in place in complete disbelief. I spent most of the day convincing myself that I must have just misread what I saw. However, I didn't misread it because over the last several days, I discovered a file on his computer filled with tons of BDS porn. He clearly has a porn addiction. He also has saved photos of Amy from her Instagram on his computer. Although they weren't inappropriate, she was fully clothed, it was still proof that I needed to confirm that I wasn't going crazy. I also looked at his phone interactions during opportune moments and saw most of their interactions. I wish I never looked. They were filled with mean, horrible things said at my expense, with him constantly comparing me to her. He would call me fat and old, amongst other things, with Amy LOLing. I've always had hunches or paranoid feelings that Paul has been cheating on me, but never in a million years could I have fathomed something like this. Last month, I found a thong in our bedroom that I know wasn't mine. I turned a blind eye to it, being naive and acting like it was maybe our daughter's, even though that made 0 sense. Not only is he cheating on me, but he's betraying our son. I'm completely devastated. I don't even think words can adequately describe the dread, anger, shock I feel right now. I'm totally overwhelmed on how to handle this because obviously action needs to be taken, but I'm terrified of what kind of psychic blow this will be for my son. I have no idea how to even broach this completely fucked up topic with him. I wouldn't wish this predicament on my worst enemy. Can't believe I married this scumbag in the first place. And then my mind starts to race, realizing that I started noticing specifically unusual behavior from him around the same time Amy turned 18. Was he waiting for her to turn 18 before pursuing this affair? There's so many layers to all this, and I'm completely paralyzed with fear and dread about it. None of it makes any sense. How did this happen? Am I that much of a stupid idiot that I let all of this happen under my watch? Eric adores Amy, and the thought of revealing this sickening truth to him terrifies me. The impact on his young heart and mind could be devastating. My heart aches for Eric and Mary, who are completely innocent bystanders. I haven't confronted my husband about this because I'm frankly scared of the domino effect. I don't know who to turn to first about this. I share my story not for sympathy, but in search of understanding and perhaps advice from those who have had to grapple with deep betrayal. Thank you for listening. And then there's relevant comments and updates and stuff. Further info from OP. To not have my initial post be long-winded because I didn't think I needed to get into the minutia of this, I didn't bother getting into details. How I inadvertently saw it was he was on his phone. He did not have iMessages open currently on the screen, but the application was still open. You know how on the iPhone when you swipe up, it shows all the applications that are open and you can close them. When he was closing out of the application, something he does compulsively, I noticed it. It's not like he was some kind of idiot buffoon having iMessages open for all to see. I saw that he forgot he had the application running from when he swiped up to a completely different app. Also, I did say in my post that I went back to his phone to actually solidify my suspicions on a different day, so you are incorrect in asserting that I'm now magically changing my story. I am being consistent. And relevant comments. Is she freshly 18? Isn't that illegal? There's no way they weren't doing anything illegal before she turned into an adult. Also, even if so, the age gap is over 3 decades. Your husband is suspect as fuck. Police immediately. And OP responded, she's been 18 for 5 months now. I haven't been able to gauge when the affair started. I'm trying my hardest to figure this out. He deletes his texts every couple of months. It seems like, so I haven't been able to pinpoint when this whole thing started. And then OP adds in the comments, "Thank you everyone for your overwhelming support. I'm sorry if I haven't responded to your private messages. I'll get to it when I can. Dealing with a lot right now and taking a lot of steps that need to be taken. I'm trying to be smart and strategic with this truly surreal and terrible situation that I'm in. I want to be clear that not telling my son about this was never something I was considering. I didn't mean to make it seem that way. I was just saying that I'm intensely dreading it, but obviously it needs to be addressed. It's one part of many steps of my overall plan. I'm currently playing dumb and collecting as much information as I can so I can be prepared for anything and everything. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to make sure I don't put myself in any potential harm's way. I'll post a more thorough update soon when I can, but please know you've all touched my heart so much and make me feel less alone." So, second update. I'm using pseudonyms for confidentiality. I shared a situation a few days ago on another subreddit involving my 41 female husband, Paul, 48 male, our children, Eric, 18 male, and Mary, 15 female. I've discovered that Paul was having an affair with our son's 18-year-old girlfriend, Amy. My son has been dating her since they were freshmen in high school. My brother connected me to a very tough junkyard dog type lawyer. I saved screenshots of all of the conversations with Amy. I was only able to get the last 3 months from iCloud. The conversations were mostly flirty and dirty talk. It was hard to stomach, completely sleazy, and I saw several negative things said about me. His call history shows he talks with her for hours pretty consistently. He uses dating apps. I took screenshots of his profiles and all active chats he has with his matches. It's very clear that he filters to seek out girls who are 18 to 22 or so. I copied all of his files from his computer. He goes on tons of sex chat rooms and forums. He spends a ton of money on OnlyFans. I rummaged through every possible hiding spot I could think of in the house. He has various toys, blindfolds, cuffs, lubricants, etc. He also has different outfits, which looked kind of like a girl's Catholic school uniform and a French maid type outfit. I picked up Eric and Mary from school, and we all drove to my brother's. They were able to sense something was awry. When I picked them up, I delicately told them the entire situation. I broke down crying. Mary had the most anger, even more than Eric. I met with Amy's mother, and I told her everything. She confiscated Amy's phone and gave me the entire chat log. It only dated back 3 months ago, like my husband's iCloud, almost as if they both deleted the messages at the same time. She told me Amy sobbed when confronted. Amy basically told her mother that she'll never understand and that she and him are in love. I don't want to get into too many details with what else she was saying, but suffice to say, it's very easy to assume that my husband slowly and methodically became a sage-like figure in her life, making her feel like she could rely on him. He took advantage of the fact that she came from a broken home. Amy is also nonstop insistent that their friendship only became romantic/physical recently, and before that, she said it was more of a friend and mentor. I confronted Paul over Zoom. The look on his face was scary. He became red and looked so sweaty. He had anger and panic in his eyes. His tone of voice was very defensive and frightening. He kept yelling the word context over and over again, and that none of that happened. He was unable to speak without constant stutters and intensity. Nothing really made any sense to me. I refused to tell him where I was, and he said that I had no right to take his kids away from him, and then he abruptly left Zoom. My lawyer is filing for temporary sole custody of Mary and a restraining order. Mary is still the most angry. She's totally furious with her dad and Amy, justifiably so, of course. Mary is recollecting moments in time she watched her dad interact with her friends, and she's in knots with it. Eric is very clearly hurting, but he's so strong and very level-headed. He wants to see a therapist. The maturity my kids are showing makes me proud. They don't deserve this at all. We've made the authorities aware of everything. I plan on becoming completely unforgiving and ruthless in this divorce. I'm reflecting on how I've been treated and how it made me a shell of myself, and how I've had a very negative opinion of myself because of him over the last 20 years. I don't want to let this scumbag get away with it. I want to reinvent myself and move on stronger than ever. Relevant comments. How's your son holding up? What has developed between him and Amy? And OP says, he hasn't spoken to Amy yet since finding out the news, and I'm not sure he ever will again. And then somebody else says, have you confirmed if the thong you found was Amy's? The situation is fucked up. And OP said, I confirmed that it wasn't my daughter's. She said it wasn't hers, and I know it wasn't mine. So who else's could it be? And then somebody else said, wait, are you trying to say they had sex in the master bedroom? And somebody else said, don't cheaters always use their married bed? And then OP said, yes, I believe he did. And then she ends up adding later in the comments, both me and my son are going to get tested and checked out as well.
That's crazy.
There's no telling how many different women he's been sleeping around with. As for Amy, her mom has been in contact with me, and Amy has been threatening to run away with him because they are in love. Next update. Thank you all again for all the love and encouragement. It gives me comfort and means so much to me. I've received many comments and messages accusing me of faking the story, which oddly also provides comfort because all of this feels unreal even to me. It validates my own feelings that there are people out there who can't even fathom this being true. I wish it were fake. I've been focusing on and worrying about how others are feeling over this, somewhat ignoring my own feelings, which I'm trying to change. I range from anger to numbness, like a light switch. We're all safe and still at my brother's house. We're very careful, and his house is secured. Paul has tried to call my cell phone several times a day. I'm refusing to interact with him, and I will have my lawyer handle all correspondence. He scares me, frankly. My brother has a very secure house with an alarm system and deadbolt locks. We feel safe here with him. Both my son and I got checked out and tested. It appears so far that we're both clean based on immediate rapid tests, but in the coming days we'll know for certain when the lab results come in. I'm not overly concerned. Eric is scheduled to see a therapist early next week, which is good and needed. He's not himself right now. He seems a bit shell-shocked, and I'm concerned. He internalizes a lot, and it's hard to get a read on what's going on in his head. That being said, he's thoughtful, and he's been talking with me, asking me how I'm doing and everything. He's not interested in corresponding with his dad at all. He calls only my cell phone. He has not tried to reach out to either Eric or Mary. I get the sense that Paul is extremely nervous. He's scared. I think he deep down knows that if investigated thoroughly, he would be in big trouble. That's what my gut is telling me. I still think about the Zoom call with him, and the more I think about it, the more it looks like he was a man whose entire world was crashing down on him. The panic in his face was very apparent. I offered Mary for me to make an appointment with a therapist as well, but she doesn't want to see one yet. She said she's open to it eventually, but what's time to herself? She's been asking her friends about her dad and if they experienced any creepiness from him. Her friends were open and honest with her, and apparently they felt like he stared a lot and sensed his hovering presence whenever they were over. One of Mary's friends went as far to say that she felt like he was checking her out a lot, like looking at her rear and complimenting the color of her yoga pants. At the time, no issue was brought up about it, but in light of everything that's been happening, it seems strange now. He would sit himself in different areas or vantage points to get a good view of her, she claimed. He also asked questions about what kind of friend group or which clique they were in at school. He kept asking if they were the popular girls. I'm completely embarrassed that they had to experience this at our home. As for updates on Amy, which is the main reason why I wanted to write this update, I completely agree that she is also a victim. A lot of people have been emphasizing that, and I agree. I've done everything I could in my own power to indirectly get her opportunities to get help. Like I said, I told her mother, and she's been updating me on everything. Amy, unfortunately, is still living in her deluded reality, and I can only pray that she'll eventually come to her senses. She doesn't want to see any doctors or therapists at all, and has been constantly trying to reach Paul because, again, she believes that they are in love. From what I've been told, she hasn't been able to get a hold of him, and he's been avoiding communication with her completely. Amy blames me for that, and believes I took away his devices and am very controlling. Amy looks at me as a villain, and still sees Paul through her rose-colored glasses. Her mother showed her screenshots of his dating apps and profiles and matches, and she refuses to believe it, saying that I photoshopped it. According to her mom, Amy keeps saying things like everyone is just mad because she found herself a real man, and that I'm jealous because she takes better care of him than I do. And it's in line with some of the conversations I screenshot, where a lot of what Paul says is him complaining about things I don't do for him sexually. Right now, she's insistent that she and Paul will be together in the long run. Ugh, he's honestly a slime ball. I can only hope that Amy comes to her senses, but me directly intervening doesn't feel like it would be productive at the moment. Maybe eventually, though. And then some relevant comments. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. Reading all the previous posts, I honestly get the vibe that your husband wasn't a very good one to begin with. Someday, when you're ready, you're going to find someone who thinks you're glorious as you age. Your son is also going to be okay. He's gotten a lesson on exactly how men shouldn't behave, a painful one, but in time, he's going to realize that Amy was groomed and abused. It sounds like she was vulnerable, and your ex took advantage of a child who was in a bad situation. Hopefully, once Amy has had some time to process just how messed up this was, she'll tell the police the whole story. I fully believe something was happening before she turned 18.